Right, get it all. So this conversation is on proceeding swiftly along Surah 17, right? Surah al-Isra, right? Surah 17, Surah al-Isra, right? This is about what the night journey, and we are about what bringing people out of the darkness into light, out of darkness into light, right? Meaning the dark aspects of the world. Things like what? Human trafficking, child abuse, sexual abuse against women, men, everybody. Police abuse. The bosses of police who abuse them, the bosses of those who abuse policemen, right? Going all the way up to the top, right? Top level flipping abuse, right? Dealing with bringing people out of darkness into light. Pornography, the dark web, all those things. Bringing people out of darkness into light, right? So, 1. Exalted is he who took his servant, and in brackets, Prophet Muhammad, right? So first point I want to make, right? People and these voices and so on, and people would know that people exalt this Prophet Muhammad as though he is God himself, as though Prophet Muhammad is God himself. Prophet Muhammad is not God itself, right? Prophet Muhammad is not God, right? Prophet Muhammad, just like how people worship, people in Hinduism worship Krishna, Ram, everybody. In Christianity, you adore Jesus Christ and say that you can only attain God through Jesus Christ, and you hold Jesus Christ in such a high regard, right? It is similar in Islam what people do with Prophet Muhammad, right? So that's what this verse 1 is about. Doing away with the concept of Prophet Muhammad being that held up concept, right? That you're not allowed to even talk to this person, right? You're not allowed to talk to this person because why? This person is a prophet. You're not allowed to talk to he's a prophet. You're not allowed to talk to she's a prophet. You're not allowed to talk to he. That unreachable thing now, right? That inaccessibility, right? That's what I am doing away with. I don't care who give a shit. I don't care who vex loss, right? Loss, loser. Who vex about this? Loser, right? Who vex about this? Loss, right? I don't care, right? I know business for these things, right? This is doing away with the thing about I cannot access this person because I am too dirty for that person, or somebody else is too dirty to talk to me, right? I am doing away with the concept that I am too dirty to talk to somebody else because I am talking to you right now, right? I am doing away with the concept that I am too dirty to talk to you, right? That I am too dirty, that you see someone else, he is a prophet, that person is a prophet, and all you want to close the door and flipping me because I too dirty to talk to he, right? Doing away with that fuckery, bullshit, and I don't give a fuck. This is the legacy I will leave, right? This is the legacy I am leaving, right? Doing away with that bullshit that I am too dirty to talk to a he because a he is too flipping clean for me to talk to, right? Me and kid, this is the legacy I am leaving, right? Me and who vex loss, right? So the verse refers to the prophet as a servant. A servant meaning that you are not exalted as the best thing after sliced bread, right? You are a normal person like you and I, right? A normal person in the world carrying out whatever duty you have to do, right? You are not exalted or above any of us, right? I am not exalted above any of you all, right? We are normal human beings just carrying out whatever it is that we are to carry out in righteousness, right? In righteousness, right? So take none other than who? Allah, right? Take none other than Allah as what? The disposer of everything, right? Just as Allah is creator, sustainer, Allah is the disposer or the dissolver of all events, all situations, all people, right? Everything on earth, right? Allah is creator, sustainer, dissolver, disposer of everything on earth, right? Right. Verse number 5, addressing the situation, for example, of things like police raid, these kind of things, right? Counseling police officers now, or counseling to police officers, right? Because this is what we do, right? What would cause you to behave in a way that you would innocently raid a person's home without providing an explanation, right? This is coming from the Holy Book, right? What would cause you to probe into someone's home, right? what kind of warfare, what kind of training that you have to undergo, right? What kind of warfare, spiritual and physical warfare, that you have to undergo, right? To end up probing into people's home, right? Without consent, without a warrant, just because you feel like you have great military might, right? What gives you permission, or what kind of training that you have to undergo? And this is about outing yourself from that situation if that situation persists, right? If that situation persists where you have to go through that kind of a particular kind of training or warfare, right? A particular kind of training or warfare, right? Policemen and women who have to go through particular kinds of trainings or warfare, right? That would cause you to behave in a way that would cause 7, 8 big men with flipping guns and about 5 or 6 police officers to come and raid one innocent person's home, right? And back them in a corner like if they are some great criminal, right? What kind of training and warfare that you have to go through, and it's about outing yourself from that system, taking time to contemplate and meditate on your own self, right? And why did you allow yourself to why did you put yourself through that kind of bullshit to carry out the same types of activities that you were subject to, right? So this is what we're talking about, right? So you all are, just like everybody else, servants, right? Servants, meaning that just like how I am doing a service here, right? You are also servants, right? So you are not supposed to come big, bad, and bully, especially if it's an innocent person's home, and you know it's an innocent person's home, just to intimidate a person and frighten a person, right? That's not allowed. By the book, that is not allowed, right? So moving along. So it's about outing yourself from that system, taking time to contemplate on your own actions and fix it, right? And if it is that you had to undergo that kind of training and that kind of warfare, right, is to out yourself from that system, right? Until that whole system revolutionizes itself, changes itself, or disintegrates, right? So if you do good, it is said that you do good for yourselves. And if you do evil, you do it against yourself as well, right? Do good and you do it for yourself. Do evil, you do evil against yourself, right? So this Quran guides that which is most suitable. Like I said, according to one's own soul's preference, but all within the framework of that which is right, right? All within your soul's preference, but within the dynamic of that which is righteousness, right? So sufficient is yourself against yourself, right? That's an important point. And that's why I say the book judges you, right? And the book judges me, right? The book judges you and the book judges me, right? Sufficient is yourself against yourself, meaning that you don't need another judge, right? If you're a police officer and you hate what I'm saying, right? You read the book, allow the book to judge you, right? Read the book, allow the book to judge you. The book judges me, the book judges you, right? Sufficient is yourself, and this is by what? Contemplating, reflecting on your past actions. What I did, was it right? Was it wrong? Do I have a mind to think for myself? If there were bosses of yours or bosses of the bosses of yours who actually took your mind through that kind of training, can you take back your mind, right? Having back control of your own mind, right? And this goes all the way up, right, to the last person below the real level top dog who is responsible for these things, right? Taking back control of our own minds, right, from this kind of nonsense, right? So whoever is guided is only guided for the benefit of his or her soul, and whoever errs or errs against it, right? If you are guided towards that which is right, right, you are guided for the benefit of your own soul, right? And if you err, you make errors against your own soul, right? So Surah 17 verse 16, right? Talking about commanding the affluent, right? And that's what I was doing throughout, well, not me specifically, but me as being a vessel, as an instructor in what Allah instructs, right? A vessel to communicate the information, as in commanding the affluent in the society, meaning the top levels of upper class ranks of society, to what? Distribute their wealth, so that people do not have to undergo this kind of crap, right, in order to make a salary, right? That people do not have to go through the types of training and the types of warfare that people actually go through, right, in order to make a living, right? So and that's what the distribution of wealth is about, right? Understanding people's situation, even if it's people who bullied you. For example, the police officers who bullied me, right? I actually have taken time and years, right, and sat with myself and think about the situation, right, to the extent that I'm not even angry about that situation anymore. I'm angry at the fact that they actually had to do what actually make them do that, right? What actually make you all do something like that, right? So moving on. So we're talking about right, talking about your treatment towards your parents now, right? So we're talking about not to worship anybody except Allah, right? You don't worship your parents, you don't worship your family, right? You enjoying good treatment towards them, right? Until whatever age, old age, the parents enjoying good treatment towards them, right? The book says, don't even say oof, right? Oof is a word that's used to express dissatisfaction. It was a word used by the prophet to express dissatisfaction with certain things, right? But in events that you need to stand up for yourself, because all of these, just like anything else, it could result in you being taken advantage of, right? Even if it's true words or whatnot. So in whatever situation you have to stand up for yourself, for stand up. Just don't cause any chaos, confusion, unnecessary dramas, right? With regard to family situations and so on, right? Just say whatever you need to say when you have to say it. Withdraw yourself when you need to withdraw yourself, to avoid any unnecessary conflicts, confusions within a family dynamic, right? So asking God to have mercy upon your parents and yourself, right? Having mercy upon your parents, for they would have brought you up when you were small, right? They would have brought you up when you were small, and so they would have played their part in ensuring that you grew up to be an actual healthy being. If you are healthy, and if you are unhealthy, well, we are working to help people to become healthier and sound in mind, body, intellect, heart, and so on, right? Right, so God is most knowing of what's within yourself, right? If you should be righteous in intention, then he is ever forgiven, right? If you are righteous in intention, and once you are righteous in intention, by extension, you translate that into action, right? In some cases, it doesn't translate. Some cases, you are right in intention, but there's a miscommunication somewhere, right? And it doesn't result in your that intention being translated into action, right? But we are trying to align intention with action, right? So that things don't become simply intention, simply that you intend to do right, although that is good on its own, intending to do right, but we are trying to align intention with action so that it produces an outcome, right? So that your intention produces an actual outcome, right? So give to relatives that which is their right, to the poor, to the traveler, whoever, like if you see somebody stranded on the road, whatever they are, right? And do not spend wastefully, right? Do not spend wastefully, right? Meaning, do not spend things on unnecessary things of the world, as I was saying, but to channel your wealth in productive and righteous means, right? Do not kill your children out of fear of poverty, right? So if you have a child, right, that's what I'm saying, and this is a second reason to on the basis of which abortions are not allowed, right? That you accidentally get pregnant, right? Our parents, right? Your mother accidentally get pregnant, and you abort the baby because we cannot financially sustain the baby, right? Because we cannot financially sustain the baby, right? That is not a basis. Abortion is not allowed on those terms either, right? Abortion is not allowed on those terms either, because that child will be provided for, right? The child will be provided for, right? So, and if this is your fear, so there's a whole, going back to the root of the issue, right? If that is a problem to you, problematic to you, right? That you do not want to bring a child into the world because you're unable to maintain that child, right? Then you shouldn't be putting yourself out in a position, right, in a situation to get yourself pregnant, right? To get yourself pregnant, right? So talking about all these as forms, I don't like the word birth control, but self-management, right? Not even self-control, but managing yourself, right? Managing yourself to know that, hey, if I know I'm incapable of this situation right now, then why am I putting myself in a situation for that to happen, right? So going back to the self again as the root of the things that we want or don't want to see in the world, right? So it says, do not approach unlawful sexual intercourse. Meaning that if you're not in a commitment with anybody, don't go engaging in sexual intercourse outside of any commitment, right? Right. So talking about weighing deeds and so on, when you weigh, right, and this is in accordance with Allah, right? Weighing deeds, meaning you remain neutral with regard to situation and let things balance out. Meaning do what you have to do what you were commanded to do within the framework of righteousness, and allow situations to balance out itself, right? Because I will know the hearts of somebody else, right? Somebody else will know my heart, right? Allah is the only one who actually have that. The universe, creator of the universe, actually have that account of deeds and so on. Account of all our deeds, right? Account of all things we've done, thought about, carried out in the world, right? So weighing, right, it just means you be honest, right? You be honest, right? If you're in a situation where you have to participate in this, you are the one who have to make yourself righteous, right? You have to be the one who have to make yourself righteous, and then in that way, that would carry out itself, right? That honesty would carry out, right, and be the form of weighing, right? That honesty would carry out in a ripple effect and be the form of weighing in an even way, right? So it starts with yourself. When you measure, weigh with an even or honest balance, right? That is the way and the best in result. Right, do not walk upon the earth exultantly, right? Meaning arrogance, pride, all these things, right? So we are reducing arrogance and pride. And like I was saying, this doesn't mean to humble and make yourself hide away from the world, shy away from the world, right? Or do not speak here online or anything like that. You are in fact commanded to speak, right? You are in fact commanded to speak, right? So by not being exultant doesn't mean that you are meek, you are too humble, you are too shy, you are too put yourself in a corner, right? Doesn't mean these things, right? It means that you are not boastful about the things that you have. It means that you are not arrogant about that which you have, right? Right, so the contents in the Quran has been diversified that mankind might be reminded, right? Right, you are not over anyone as a manager, right? But you are what? Equal to others. You are not truly, right? And this is for managers and so on in the physical material world, right? Who think by virtue of status and title that they are actually higher than others in the chain of command and so on. And there are things that would happen that would bring people down to an extreme sense of humility with regard to these things, right? You are not by virtue of your title higher than a janitor, higher than a level 1, a clerk 1, higher than a research staff, higher than whoever it is, right? You are not by nature of titles, right, higher than any, or because of a perceived chain of command in the material world, right? Because of a perceived chain of command in the material world, right? It doesn't make you more of a or higher than somebody else who is of a lower rank, right, in the material world, right? doesn't make you any higher than someone of a lower material rank, right, in your chain of command, right? So these are just things to note, right? Things to note when we're wearing the jacket and tie and the work dresses and so on, and moving about as though we are on top of the world, right? To remember that there are others who might be lower down in the social ladder, right? Who might actually possess more wisdom, right? Who might actually possess more heart, right? So this is two, and this is not comparing, this is just saying, right, that the truth of the matter, to not to allow the material things of the world and your social status, class, position, salary, money, right, make you walk on top of the on top of the earth as though you own it, right? So right, do not invoke any other gods beside Allah, beside God itself. Only Allah itself has the potential, has the ability to remove your adversity, right? Over believing servants, there is no real authority except God, right? Over believing servants, there is no human authority. The only authority is really God itself, right? It is God who drives the ship, right, for you to sail through the sea, right, that you might seek his wisdom, right? It is God that drives the sail, God that drives the ship, right, through the sea, right, crossing the sea, right, that you may reach over onto the other side, that you might attain the wisdom, right? Attaining wisdom means what? Crossing the boat and allowing God to stay, crossing the sea in the boat, even if you are alone in the boat, right? Even if you are alone in the ship, right? Even if you are alone in the boat, allowing God to steer that ship, right? Even though you might not even know where you are going, right? But allowing God to steer the ship, right? To lead you over to the other side, right? Right, so this is about again, prophets or messengers being regular human beings, right? So not having expectations of somebody walking on water, not having expectations of somebody dressed in whatever garb there's of the past, or whatever expectations that you have of how Jesus Christ or a prophet Muhammad or anybody is supposed to look, right? Just remember that messengers and prophets are about what? Regular human beings, right? Regular human beings. And the expectations that you have, and she's a prophet, just imagine he's a prophet, right? That kind of expectations that you all have, right, of what a prophet is, right? That is what actually is damaging, causing more damage, right, than doing good, right? So the Quran has been sent down with the truth. Well, the Quran has been sent down, right? And persons have been sent down to what? Deliver the truth, right? The Quran has been sent down, and there have been messengers on earth, right? Who are on earth to what? Disseminate the information, right? So it's up to people to accept it, integrate it into their lives, right? Or reject it, right? That choice is left up to humans, right? We have some free will, right? That choice is left up to humans, whether you want to accept it, right? And it's not about converting anybody, talking about the message. Right? It's up to you whether you want to accept it, integrate it into your life, right? Or reject it, right? Right, so call upon Allah, which is the most merciful, also known as Ar-Rahman, right? Call upon Allah, who is the most merciful, Ar-Rahman, right? Whichever name you call to him belongs the best names, right? So if you have to praise any God, praise Allah, who has not taken a son and has no partner in his dominion, right? And Allah doesn't actually need a protector, right, out of weakness. Allah is free of need, meaning Allah who created us all. You, your parents, my parents, our families, right? Allah who created us all is free of need and is free of the need of protection, right? So he has not taken a son and has no partners in his dominion, right? Have a good day, everybody.